In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and beloved Messenger Muhammad, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. The title of this presentation is The Condition for Allah God to Increase You from His Knowledge. Now, to understand this title, I need to explain the source of knowledge that a person can go to acquire knowledge. Now, people in this day and age, they only know one source of knowledge. For example, if a person wants to know something in psychology, he goes to textbooks. For example, university textbooks and so forth. He wants to know something in physics, he goes to a physics textbook. He wants to go to know something in engineering, he goes to an engineering textbook. This is the only source of knowledge that people know now. Textbooks, journals, periodicals, and so forth. So this is the only source of knowledge. What I will show now, that we have another source of knowledge to know engineering, biology, physics, chemistry, psychology, all branches of knowledge, which is the last revelation of Allah God with the Quran. So, as I said, and as you can see on the screen, we have two sources of knowledge in our times. The knowledge that we find from textbook, which is based on trial and error approach, and the knowledge of Allah God Almighty in the Quran. So the question now, what is the condition that Allah will increase you from His knowledge, that when you read the Quran, Allah will teach you engineering, physics, chemistry, biology, all branches of knowledge? There is a condition, and metaphorically we can say there is a key to unlock the knowledge of this book. What is this key? Okay. Now, before that, let's compare the kind of knowledge that you take from textbooks and the one that you take from the Quran. Just a quick comparison. Okay. Now, the one you take, and I'll take a case here in psychology, in the diagnosis and cure of obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. So a person having OCD, he wants to know what's the cause and what's the cure for this. The only thing he knows now, before this lecture, that he goes to textbooks, psychology textbooks, and he reads about OCD. Now, the problem is that this knowledge is based on trial and error approach, on people thought process, on people trials and so forth. Now, this kind of knowledge, it can be right and can be wrong, because a person can make mistakes. That's something very dangerous, because if he learns something wrong and he applies it, he will make things worse. And there are a lot of cases in psychology for this, making things worse. But comparing that to if you learn psychology from the Quran, you are guaranteed that is correct 100%, because it's from the Creator who created your body and who knows you. Okay? This first point. The second point, that it takes a very long time to get a hypothesis and a theory and a law. It takes so much time. And so many people, they lived and died with pain and, for example, in OCD, and they gained nothing. But when you learn from the Quran, you get knowledge in a matter of minutes. And for example, the diagnosis and cure of OCD, there is a link I will put below this video for a video of mine showing the superiority of knowledge of the Quran and finding the cause and the cure for obsessive compulsive disorder from the Quran in a matter of minutes. People took hundreds of years to get even a hypothesis on this. Okay? Now, another point, that the knowledge that you get from textbooks, it's incomplete knowledge. But the knowledge you get from the Quran is complete, 100%. Another point, that if you want to learn psychology, then you need so many references, you spend so many years learning psychology. And not that much people, they have money to do this, or the time to do this, or the patience and perseverance to do this. But from the Quran, you learn psychology in a matter of minutes, and the Quran is available, just one book, and it's easy to read. Also, in majority of cases, the big words are used in the university textbooks, and it's complicated language, big words, and so forth, and so many people don't understand that depth of the topic. But the Quran, on the other hand, easy to use, simple language, straightforward. Okay, so now we showed the quick comparison between the knowledge that you learn from textbooks and the standard way of learning now, and the alternative one from the Quran. Now let's go back. What is the condition, what is the key that unlocks the knowledge of this book? You want to learn engineering, psychology, because so many people, they say, okay, I read the Quran, but I don't find psychology, I don't find engineering, I don't find physics, because they don't have the key. There is a key for this book. And this key, instead of going into conjecture and guesswork, and I think this, it can be this, it can be that, let's go to the Quran. In the Quran, Allah gives you the key to unlock this book. As you can see the screen, this key is found in chapter 68, verse 4, which reads, this is translation, and verily, you, O Muhammad, are on the exalted standard of character. So in this Quranic verse, Allah describes Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, which is the last prophet, who is the last prophet, and he describes him that he's exalted, he has an exalted character, meaning his moral values are the best. So, you can, from pondering upon this, you can know, this is the key. The key that Allah will teach you from His knowledge found in the Quran, that you need to have excellent moral values, your character, your morals. And it's interesting to note that Allah, when He described Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, He didn't describe him that he's a genius, he's a prodigy, that's the reason he was given so much knowledge. No. He was described that he is on the standard, the best of moral values, the best of character. Okay, to understand this key, I made an illustration, as you can see on the screen. This is the key to unlock the knowledge of the Quran. So let me explain this illustration. As you can see on the left, I put a box saying big sins, small sins, and messengers are prophets. What I mean by this, that you as a person, you can commit big sins, like for example, associating partners to Allah God Almighty, believing that a human being can be God, believing that a stone can be God. This is the biggest sin. Also committing adultery, having sexual intercourse outside of marriage, it's a big sin. Drinking alcohol, intoxicants is a big sin. Taking usury, taking interest from banks is a big sin. So a person can do this. Also, a person can commit small sins, like telling lies, being deceptive, treating people with cruelty, and so forth. And the top one is that messengers of prophets. This is a level of, these are human beings which have the best kind of moral values, the best character. And Prophet Muhammad, he's the last messenger of Allah. So this stage of messenger prophets is ended. So let's concentrate on big sins and small sins. So as you can see on the right, I placed kind of an inverted triangle, and on the bottom I have something called borrowed knowledge. So what do I mean by borrowed knowledge? Now, like you are borrowing something from a library. You borrow something, then return it. Now, borrowed knowledge means that if a person wants to know something from engineering, for example, he goes to university, he borrows the knowledge from the textbook, he learns the equation, he applies the equation, he designs a building, for example. That's borrowed knowledge. But did he add something new? Did he make a contribution? No. So that is borrowed knowledge. And on the green part of the triangle, you have the knowledge of Allah in the Quran. So, let's begin by explaining this illustration. Now, if a person is doing big sins, for example, drinking alcohol, committing adultery, incest, associating partners to Allah God Almighty, then can you see the blue line, which is labeled 1? This is the level of your knowledge. If you have knowledge, then it's all borrowed knowledge. Meaning, if a person commits adultery, for example, and he goes to university, wants to be an engineer, he will borrow the knowledge, learn the equations, apply the equations, but no real contribution in life. He will live and die without anybody remembering him. No real contribution. So if a person is doing big sins, then no way that the knowledge of the Quran will be unlocked to him. Okay. If a person is doing small sins, let's go to level number 2, telling lies, being deceptive, and so forth. Then he would have borrowed knowledge, and if he's doing kind of small sins, some part of the knowledge of the Quran will be unlocked to him, part of it. And as you can see, the triangle, it gets wider as you go to the top, meaning the lesser sins you commit, the more knowledge from the Quran will be revealed to you. So this is the meaning of the kind of the width of the triangle. The lesser sins you commit, the more the density of the knowledge of Allah will be given to you. So I hope now the illustration is clear. The key to unlock the knowledge of the Quran is for you to train your character, to be a better person, moral values, to train them. Nobody's perfect. You need to put effort, patience and perseverance in getting your morals better, being honest, and all of these kind of being honest, being helpful to others. You need to train yourself. The more you train yourself, the better character you have, then the knowledge of Allah God Almighty in the Quran will be unlocked to you. Now, the big question, why? Why we learn from the Quran that there is a link between your moral values and your character and the unlocking knowledge of the Quran? Now, it's very straightforward, because the knowledge of Allah is light. So, let me give an example. If you want to reflect light of a surface, then this surface should be clean to reflect the knowledge of the light. So a person, if he commits major sins, then he becomes dirty in his kind of character. And the knowledge of Allah is light. So how can light reflect of something dirty? Because if surface is dirty, then the light will be wasted. And Allah doesn't waste anything. Let me give you a very kind of quick example to explain this. Suppose that a person, he's drinking alcohol, he's intoxicated. Imagine that person telling you that Allah guided me from the Quran to discoveries about the universe and how it started. Does it make sense? No, it doesn't. So you should be clean, such that this light will be reflected of you. And the reason I'm saying this is that I want to emphasize the importance of having good character, good moral values, and the importance of training yourself to be better. And if you do that, then you will see, and you ponder upon the Quran, you read the verses and ponder upon it, you will gain knowledge that is far superior to the knowledge of people. A different kind of knowledge. I call it a new kind of knowledge from the Quran. And as you will see in the video linked at the bottom, the link is given at the bottom, that you can find the cure for something which baffled psychologists about OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. You can find the cure in a matter of minutes from the Quran, and it changed lives of people from the knowledge of the Quran, compared to not finding the cure till now, not finding the diagnosis and the cure for this by reading textbooks and the knowledge based on trial error approach. So, as I said, put some effort in making yourself better, moral values in your character, and you will have happiness in this life and the hereafter. And as I said, you will gain knowledge that will change your life from the Quran. And as I said, you will have happiness in this life and the hereafter. And to know more details about this topic, please visit my website at www.quran-miracle.com, and you can email me at zaidquran@gmail.com, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all.